So how can you be sure that your loved one or someone you know has a physical illness? Over time, the medical profession has devised a series of reliable tests to check for people's well-being. Over time, those tests have also been refined, and recently cultural awareness has become a big priority.
The starting point is your family doctor or local medical staff. After talking it through, the doctor might book some further testing to check things out. A specialist could look at the problems and offer an early idea of what's going wrong. Then it's important to rule out any other causes before dementia can be confirmed. The checkups might include a detailed medical history, a thorough physical and neurological examination, laboratory tests, other specialised tests such as chest X-ray, ECG or CT scan, a mental status test, psychiatric assessment. One of those things is the initial test for dementia, and the test for Alzheimer's in particular has become more tuned to cultural awareness. The work was developed in the Kimberleys.
It's quite apparent that there are perhaps some local things that we should be paying attention to.
The need for a more culturally aware tool came about because the normal mini-mental test reflected levels of understanding in the mainstream community.
For Aboriginal communities, we've got a kicker tool that they're using in the Kimberleys, and it's called the Kimberleys Indigenous Cognitive Assessment Tool, which is a cognitive tool. It only just says, oh, they do have a problem. And then what we do is we send them off to our health workers, who then assess and then send them into the doctor. Then the process goes through as a normal process.
The tool they used had to be adapted to the people they were seeing. Now 60% were brought up in an Aboriginal language and spoke English as a second language. The usual tools, which are very respectable for screening for dementia, like the mini mental state, is very much based on literacy, numeracy, and knowledge of Western society to a degree.
A lot of the aged care assessment teams come out as well, and doctors, and they will go through the mainstream scenarios and sort of assessment tools that don't even make sense to half of the elders that are being interviewed or through the assessment tool at the time.
One of the biggest issues with dementia is fear. Mental illness can drive away family and friends because they find it scary and difficult to deal with.
They visit a doctor, and the doctor sends them off to a specialist who do a brain scan, and they'll go from there. They may need medication, they may not.
What we do as a service is try to ensure that there's family involved, because family will bring in the information, and that's a good way for us to find out too exactly how the elder is behaving at home, and it makes them think too when we start asking questions. You know, is it happening sort of late at night, or is it more during the day, and start to pinpoint, and feeding that information into those specialised services who are doing the assessments helps. But if you don't get the family on board, you lose all that. There's a big gap of information missing.
Deb also went and saw a neurologist, a psychologist, I think, or something of that nature, and he did some very basic tests, like you know, drawing a clock, putting the numbers around it, putting, you know, it's 4 o'clock, drawing you know, a cube, a three-dimensional cube, just an outline of one. Asking Deb just simple questions like, you know, what day it is and that sort of stuff, and that's when, you know, it's, I suppose in some sense it sort of made it pretty clear to me that there was something pretty serious happening.
And sometimes the delivery of bad news needs improving.
He said it quite bluntly that looks like you've got Alzheimer's. How do you feel about that?
Is that what he actually said?
That's what he actually said to Ningley, and she of course went into denial.
Once a diagnosis of dementia is confirmed, the person will need to know, and so will their family. Support can then be offered as soon as needed.
Something is wrong. Many people are already aware that something is wrong. The diagnosis of dementia can come as a relief. Knowing can help. Knowing the diagnosis can help a person understand their situation and make plans for the future. Knowledge can help. Knowing about the disease allows for an honest and open discussion between family and friends. Information. Access to information, support and new treatments are a help when the person knows about their illness.
Because dementia can be scary, often people and families will not want to go to see the doctor. One way around this is to find another reason to go and have the healthcare professionals see the person for a routine checkup. By staying calm and providing a lot of reassurance, you can help your loved one or friend along the path to help and support if it turns out it's needed.